So now let's talk about functions. Basically what we're talking about with functions in any programming language is simply think of them as like small little programs within the script or program that you're creating. So if you're dealing with PHP, there's literally a mail function. So if you want to be able to send out emails from PHP, you can call the mail function and be able to send out the emails. All you do is you put in a couple of arguments and that is it. So when we're talking about functions, all we're talking about is essentially small little programs within your program that are designed to do a specific task. Now there are functions that are built into Python or built into modules that we've been using up until this point, but something that allows you to create much more powerful programs is the ability to create your own functions. So by creating your own custom functions, basically what you're able to do is you're able to create reusable code. What this means is if you have a large script, you can essentially write one block of code once, and then wherever else in the script you need to use that block of code, you can simply call that function instead of having to rewrite out the code. The nice part about this is it makes it a lot easier to be able to modify or be able to update those code blocks, and you don't have to rewrite the exact same code, 30 different times throughout your script. So basically what we're going to be showing you now is how to create your own custom functions. So here's about the simplest function you can do, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a function, and that function is going to print out hello world onto the screen. Now when you're going to be creating the function, you create it first by saying def, so this is defining a function, space, and then whatever the function name is going to be. So we're going to call this hello. You're then going to do parentheses. So in here, normally there will be variables. If you're going to be sending variables to the function, we'll talk about that a little bit later. If you're not sending variables to the function, you just keep those parentheses empty, then you do colon, and then you have whatever action you want to occur. So we simply want to print hello world out onto the screen. So that's the function here. Now this does not fire off until we call the function later. So here, after this, we're calling the function hello, and so when we call this function, it's going to do hello world. So basically when I run this, we can now see, basically it goes through, it calls the hello function then it prints out hello world, and that's the idea. So if we wanted to call the function, let's say multiple times, right? So we do hello, and then we do hello, right? And we do hello one more time. So what if we really just want to say hello quite a bit, right? So instead of having to rewrite all this code, we can simply call the hello function multiple times. And then when we do this, we can see hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world. So basically this is what I'm talking about, where you create the function and then you can call that function later. Now it is important to understand, again, with the Python world, the Python interpreter reads from the top of the script all the way down. So you do have to define the function before you call it. You can't put this before the function, that will not work. So you define the function, and then after that you can call it within your script to trigger the event that you want to occur. Now you can also send variable values to your function and then do something with those variable values. Be able to do math, or maybe even be able to do a customized message, right? So here we're going to define the hello script, but now we're going to put in a variable name. So basically what this is going to say is we are going to be bringing in one variable essentially from the outside world, and we're going to call that variable person. We're then going to print, we're going to do an F string, hello, and then whatever that person's name that comes in. We're then going to come down, we're going to create a name equals Bob, so somebody that we want to say hello to, name equals Bob. We are going to call the hello function, and we're going to feed it that name. So Bob is going to go here. That then transitions to person, and then it's going to end up saying hello Bob. So the important thing to understand with this is that this is a positional thing. So you see how it's name here and person here? Basically, as long as the position is the same, the index is the same, that's important. Not necessarily the name itself between when you send the value to the function and when the function gets it. So name equals Bob. We then need to say send name. This value is going to go up. into this position, we're now going to call it person. And then we're going to say print, hello, and then whatever the person's name is, right? So we go and we run this, and it now says, you know, hello, Bob. If we do this for Sue, right, instead, it now says hello, Sue. So that is how you're able to send a variable value to a function. Now here's how you can send two variable values or multiple variable values to a function, right? So we define hello function again, and this is what I'm saying about the indexes. So person is at index 0, year is at index 1, and that's really important. It's going to correspond to index 0 and index 1 for when you're sending the variables to the function. So hello person and year, print hello person's name, you are basically whatever age you are, something really simple, right? We're going to do name equals Bob again. Age is going to equal 20. Then we're going to say hello. We're going to send the value for name, and we're going to send the value for age. Index 0 here is name. It goes to here. Now we're going to call it person. Index 1 is age. We're going to send it here, and now we're going to call it year. And then within the function, we're going to use person, and we're going to use year, and it's going to print out on the screen. So now we run this, and we say, hello, Bob. You are 20. So that's basically how this works with sending multiple variables to a function. With those examples, we're sending variable values to the function, and then the function is doing something, basically printing it out to the screen. What if we need the function to do something? Let's say do some type of math, we want to get the response back, and then do something with that response. Well, that's where we need to have a return. So in this particular example, what we're going to do is we're going to do some math, and then we are going to return the new value that comes out of that math. Right? So we're going to say number equals 12. Then we're going to say response equals the double function, and then we are going to send that number. Right? So now we're calling the function, kind of like we did before, and it's putting in a variable value, but we're now saying whatever the return to that is now going to be assigned to the variable response. We go up here, define double num, so the number that's coming in, new num equals num times 2, so the number that comes in, we're multiplying it by 2, that will be the value for new num, and then we're going to simply return new num, we're going to return that number, that value is going to go to response, and then we're simply going to print out that on the screen, right? So the number is 12, so if we run this, basically it's now going to print out 24 on the screen because that is 12 being doubled. So this is what we're talking about with a return. So basically you do some kind of math or you do something in here, you create a string or whatever else, right? You assign that to a variable value, you then return that variable, and then that becomes the new value for response here, and then you're able to do something. Now what if we want to do multiple returns? So we want to return multiple numbers. So we're going to have a return here, we're going to have a new num1, comma, new num2. Basically these are going to be index values in the return. So we have num1 equals 12, num2 equals 33. Response equals double, and then we put in num1, comma, num2. So these go up to the double function. New num1 equals num1 times 2. New num2 equals num2 times 2. Right? So those are the new values that have been doubled. We're then going to return new num1. So this will be at index 0, comma, new num2. This is going to be at index 1. So if we come down here, we're going to print out the response. So response equals double. We're going to print out the response, and we're going to see that that comes back as a collection. And then if we want to get an index value from it, so let's say we want the value for num2 that's been doubled, we can simply print out response at that second index value. So we run this here. We can see that we get this back. 24 comma 66, so that's the value that we're getting back from the function. If we simply want at the second position, so it would be 0, 1, so that's where we do response, square bracket 1, and that gives us 66. So this is how we're able to get multiple responses back from a function, and we're able to access those multiple responses using their index value. So one of the things to be thinking about when you're writing your Python scripts is when you have to come back to this in the future, or when somebody else has to maintain your script, will they understand what's going on, right? And so when I just showed you how to bring back those multiple returns from a function, one of the issues is you're just getting back an index 0, an index 1, an index 2. It may be confusing to understand what it is that you're dealing with. So it's important to understand that when you do a return, it doesn't simply have to be an int or a float or something like that. You can actually return something like a dictionary. So here I have a function, and this is for greetings. Let's say, right, you have somebody's name and you want to be able to call, hello or goodbye or whatever else, that type of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create those greetings here, and then we're going to send them back as a return as a dictionary, and then be able to call those indexes, those named indexes, right? So name equals Bob. Response equals greeting name. So Bob gets sent up to greeting. Hello is going to equal an F string, hello Bob. Goodbye is going to equal an F string, goodbye Bob. Who is going to equal an F string of name, who are you? Right? So basically these are the different types of greetings that you want to be able to use. Then we're going to say message equals, we're going to create a dictionary. We're using those curly brackets to create a dictionary. The hello index is going to equal the hello variable value. The goodbye index is going to be the goodbye variable value. And the who index is going to be the who variable value. And then we're going to return this. Response is going to equal this dictionary that comes back. We're going to print out the entire dictionary. So basically, again, think about this from a troubleshooting standpoint. What am I getting back? Let me just print out the entire return to see what I'm looking at. So you'll see that this is a dictionary. And then if I want one index from the dictionary, I can print response for who, since this is a dictionary, and that will be Bob, who are you, right? So basically, if I now run this, we can see this is when I print out the entire return, right? Hello equals hello Bob, goodbye equals goodbye Bob, who equals Bob, who are you? And then basically it has down here, Bob, who are you, since I did who, right? I can go back here, and again, like this, since this is a function, like imagine I'm using this somewhere else in the script, and I can simply type in hello. Now when I go to run hello, it now says hello Bob. And so that's how you can have a single return from a function, but you use a dictionary to make it a little bit easier for you to understand what you're supposed to do with that return that comes back. That's the basic idea of functions within the Python world. So just think about these as small programs within your larger program, right? You're creating code. The idea being is that you can reuse this in different places within your application. It makes it easier so you do not have to type as much, and it's a lot easier to be able to maintain your code if you need to do any kind of modifications. Now what I showed you today, again, right now it might seem a little complicated, but it is the type of deal that we're going to constantly be using functions in our Python code. So even if you don't fully grasp it now, just, again, possibly rewatch this video or reread this a couple of times, and as you go forward in Python, it will make a lot more sense. It's one of those, the first time you see it, it seems confusing, and then, after you've done it for a day or two, it seems like anybody should be able to do it. So it's one of those kind of skills in Python programming. So anyways, that's what functions are, and this is going to make your code so much more powerful and so much easier for you to be able to manage.